Hello again, everybody, and welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt. Follow me on Twitter at Conradicalness, on the Instagram, new_Conradicalness. Ooh. If you can't spell it, sound it out. Do the best you can. I don't know what to tell you. Joined alongside, back from his trip up to Nashville with the Grizzlies, by Mike Wallace. Mike, what's going on?
Trip up to Nashville with the Grizzlies, trip to Dallas for the preseason opener.
Mike,
and now I'm back, man. And listen, I wasn't running. I wasn't ducking and dodging when my G-Man lost last week. Sherm filled in for me, did a great job. It was a great show, man. You guys had a lot of fun. And shout out to my guy, Corey Allen, for joining us last week. If you missed that episode, go back and hit it up because there's so many important things that went on during that show. And I'm just happy to be back, man. Happy to be back. A little overdressed. It's the beginning of the season.
You look good.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. It's a sponsorship season, so we had a sponsorship breakfast this morning with some of our bigger sponsors with the organizations. And Pinnacle, I'm gonna go ahead and give them a shout out because Pinnacle's done a lot with our HBCU initiatives and efforts. So it was good to catch up with Pinnacle Financial Partners and Pinnacle Financial Bank. So all good, man.
All right, great. We got a great show lined up for you as always. It's football season, so we're absolutely going to delve into this week's action. We've got a great game of the week. Going to take a look back some at last week's results, some players of the week as well.
Hold up. Back up, CJ, because you know how easily we are distracted on this show.
It sounds like we're getting distracted right now.
Right,
I thought it was odd. I was like, we're going to be able to go straight into the topics.
We haven't gotten distracted yet. But I need to ask a question because you just said something and I'm like, a light bulb went off. When do we use delve versus dive?
They're synonymous. You can use it whenever.
And dive. So you just went fancy for no reason on us, huh? Kind of like I just overdressed for no reason.
Yeah, you overdressed. I used a fancier, like, dive is Big K. Delve is the Coke brand.
Delve.
Coke brand.
So we're going to delve into the topics.
We're going to delve into it.
That's like caviar, man.
I take that back. I think dive is when it's one topic. And delve is when it's multiple topics. That's what I think.
Okay, so
at least that's what I feel in my spirit, Mike. I don't know what to tell you.
So we don't know for sure if it's a subject-verb situation.
No, I have no clue.
It's just a feeling.
Subject-verb.
It's just a feeling.
Come on, Mike, what are we doing here?
All right, so let's go ahead and dove right in.
Let's dove right. What stood out to you last week, Mike, before we look ahead some?
Man, on the HBCU landscape? North Carolina Central's dominance, man.
Yeah, man.
Like, they're back. Like, that team is back. They're loaded now. They're playing with that swagger, and they're putting the MEAC on notice, man. Howard was there last year, but it's almost like Howard is just getting along and hoping that they end up back where they were last year as the MEAC champ. But NC Central is acting like, hey, this is ours. This is like, dude, last year was a blip. Now we're back. One other thing that stood out, man, big time shout out to Chennisberry, South Carolina State, going over to Tennessee Tech in Cookeville and getting an out-of-conference victory at the Big South OVC opponent. Tennessee Tech beat Tennessee State earlier this year. South Carolina State went over there and took care of business in Central Tennessee against Tennessee Tech. That game stood out to me, and I was happy to see that, man. So yeah, those two things are what stood out.
You say North Carolina Central is back. 2 years ago, they won the Celebration Bowl. Last year, they got to the playoffs. Like North Carolina Central. I'm not sure if back is the right word. They're continuing this really impressive run. Yeah. I look forward to seeing what happens because it does feel like the MEAC is going to be decided on that game, North Carolina Central versus Howard, and I look forward to it. We'll talk more about North Carolina Central when we get to the FCS polls because they're in them now. So it's now FAMU and North Carolina Central, but we'll talk more about that in a second. Clark Atlanta lost.
Yeah.
So
they took one.
Yep.
They took one. They lost two. Who took them out? Man, I should know because I followed that game. But yeah, they finally lost, and but guess what, man? Your Johnson C. Smith squad, the surprise team, they're rolling. So they're rolling. As you said, we're going to get to the polls in a second, but Johnson C. Smith is having a historic breakthrough season, and that's the team right now to beat in the Division II HBCU ranks.
Absolutely. As we take a look back at some other noteworthy performances from last week, let's look at our MEAC players of the week. You have offensive player of the week, Eric Phoenix, he's a quarterback from South Carolina State. Mike brought him up, big win against Tennessee Tech. 17-31 passing, 412 yards, including 3 touchdowns, and their 22-20 win over Tennessee Tech. He connected with 2 receivers for over 120 yards each with a long of 70 yards. On the defensive side of the ball, Aaron Smith, also from South Carolina State, he registered 10 tackles with 5 solo stops and 1 interception in the Bulldogs' big win against Tennessee Tech. In the SWAC Offensive Player of the Week, Jacobian Morgan, Jackson State quarterback, completing 11 of 16 passes for 226 yards during their 45-38 win over Alabama A&M at the Gulf Coast Challenge. He finished with passes to 7 different receivers and connected on 3 touchdowns. On the defensive side of the ball, you've got True Thompson, another Jackson State player, defensive lineman, finished with 4 tackles on the night, highlighted by 3.5, which were 3.5 tackles for loss, and again, Jackson State ended up holding on to knock off Alabama A&M and keep their hold on that SWAC East, or near that hold with Florida A&M for that SWAC East title. And those 2 teams, Mike, you sent this week. I missed it, but that game has been flexed from the ESPN Plus to the ESPN family of networks when you talk about Jackson State getting a chance to take on FAMU with the SWAC East on the line.
Yeah. You're talking about inside track right there, as you can see the announcement from Jackson State that they're going to be on ESPNU. So that's going to be a big-time matchup right there. We are credentialed to be there for that game at Jackson State. So I'm going to see if I can make it down to Jackson and have a little bit of representation from HBCU Huddle at that game. It's going to be a phenomenal game. But now that it's on ESPNU, I might not have to drive 3 hours to go catch that game. But no, you want to be in the atmosphere, man.
Yeah, man.
Anytime FAMU goes anywhere to play, they're going to bring intensity. You talked about that game that they just played against Alabama A&M, right?
Yeah.
I want to say that game was it Alabama State? Was it Alabama
FAMU
State?
played Alabama State.
Alabama State.
Yeah.
And
Jackson State played Alabama A&M.
Yes. Okay. So Alabama State and FAMU broke a record, an attendance record, at Alabama State's home stadium. 33,000 people attended that game between Florida A&M and Alabama State down there in Montgomery, right? So you see that, and then you talk about FAMU and Jackson State. It's going to be 60,000 people at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium, man, and
it'll be about 120,000 more outside. It's going to be a party, man.
It's going to be a party, man, and it's good that hopefully, man, we can make it down there and at least experience that. I know we're in the middle of a lot going on, but that's going to be a big time matchup for the early season or mid-season control of the SWAC East.
And that's next week. That's not this week.
That's next week.
Yes,
that's next week. That's next week.
So let's look at our...
And Jackson State has a bye going into that.
Yep.
I think FAMU may have one too. No, FAMU already had a bye. I think FAMU plays this week, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But Jackson State certainly has a bye going into that game.
Wasn't FAMU's by forced? That was weather related. Speaking of weather, thinking about and praying for everybody in Hurricane Milton's path.
Yeah.
But Irene, Irma, what was the hurricane before that? Helen? One of those hurricanes came through.
Helene just left.
Helene is what it was.
Yeah,
Helene came through and they had to postpone their game against Alabama A&M.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. And so I'm not sure. I think they're on bye this week.
Okay.
I think this is their bye week. Speaking of FAMU and players of the week, HBCU Huddle player of the week this week, Deco Wilson. FAMU defensive back. He had 1 interception, 6 tackles, and 1 pass breakup. That interception, FAMU ended up forcing 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and 1 fumble recovery. That interception, with like 9 minutes left in the third quarter, was FAMU's first forced turnover of the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That defense has been great the last few years. So they play some high level competition as well too. But yeah, that's for them to get a first forced turnover this deep into a season is and they've still been playing great ball.
They've won games without turning people over. Yeah. So that is impressive in and of itself. To be able to win games without forcing turnovers, that means that you're playing really good defense.
Really good defense.
Offensively, they will turn the ball over. The quarterback does put the ball in harm's way from time to time, and so they'll end games with a couple of turnovers. And that defense is stacked, and they've held up well from a yard standpoint. But if the floodgates now open, if they're starting to force turnovers also, we saw what happened to Jackson State against Grambling State, where that was Jackson State just Five turnovers. Have 3.
Yeah.
3 is too many, but 3 is much better than 5.
Yes.
And that's the game that Jackson State has lost on the season. Just projecting 2 weeks out, if FAMU was able to force turnovers against Jackson State, if this is the beginning of a trend for FAMU, kind of like their chances on the road.
Man, we got another week to get to that game before we really, really, really break it down. But Jackson State is playing some explosive offensive. About to say basketball. The points they're putting up is like basketball, but they're playing some explosive offense on the football in football right now, and that might be too much, man. Like I don't know if FAMU's offense can keep up with what Jackson State is doing.
Yeah,
but we're going to get into that one a little bit later. But that's going to be a great game.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at some rankings for this week. Let's start in the FCS, where, as I mentioned,
they're making it hard for you, man, with this ballot every week now.
Oh, this ballot! Wait till we get to my ballot. Over in the FCS, you've got not one but 2 HBCUs in the top 25. You got North Carolina Central. They're in after not being ranked last week. They're in at number 24. And FAMU moves up from 22 to 19 in the FCS rankings. My ballot looks like this. Those 2 are the top 2 teams, Florida A&M and North Carolina Central. And then we went with I went with Morgan State, Hampton, and Howard. Again, that's the Morgan State beat Hampton. Hampton beat Howard, so I'll put Morgan State ahead of them. I got Tennessee State just behind Howard. After Tennessee State sits Grambling State. Number 8 for me is Jackson State. And then 9, Johnson C. Smith, who I've moved up 1. And coming in at number 10 is South Carolina State. South Carolina State has made it into my ranking or my ballot, Mike. When you see my ballot, any tips, advice? Am I doing this thing right?
Man, yeah. And the thing is, doing it right is doing it your way. You told me you were going to be non-traditional in the way you do it, and teams get a chance to remake themselves every single week. And I think that is absolutely fair right there. Your 3, 4, 5 makes sense because of attrition and how these teams have played each other. Tennessee State is creeping back up in there. They got a big game this week to continue to be on the inside track to contend for a Big South OVC championship run there. Grambling State has to bounce back. Spit that Prairie View game out. They had a bye week last week.
You brought it up, Mike. You said that they struggle in that classic.
That classic, man. The State Fair Classic has never been won. We have too much fun in Dallas. We just do. It's only a 2-hour drive from Grambling's campus.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that close.
Yeah, it's close, man. Dallas is right there. And you just, man, it doesn't take much to get there. So that means everybody and their cousin is there. And everybody knows where the team's hotel is. And it's just, I'm not saying that was the reason, but Grambling just didn't have the offensive consistency to finish out that game, even though it was an overtime game. But, yeah, I like your ballot there, man. Jackson State is coming on strong. Johnson C. Smith is gaining respect in the Division II ranks. And, wow, Chinnisbury, like I said before, South Carolina State, this is not a rebuild year. He's trying to contend in year 1. That's good.
That's always good. Now, when we see the box to roll poll, you'll notice that.
So this is what your ballot fed into.
This is what my ballot feeds into. Yeah. FAMU, 13 first place votes. North Carolina Central, 7 first place votes. Then you go Jackson State at 3, which I find odd considering the loss to Grambling, but Jackson State at 3.
Say it again, man.
I find it odd with the loss to Grambling. Jackson State is sitting there at 4-2. Grambling's at 3-2. That's one more game Jackson State has played. I'm not sure if that makes... For me, when I did it, that didn't make enough of a difference for me to say, hey, you know what, Jackson State should be ahead. But it's middle of the season. It won't matter until the season's end. Then the pollsters went with Tennessee State at 4. And that's why I was asking if I was doing this right, because I had Tennessee State at 6, and Johnson C. Smith comes in at number 5. I had Johnson C. Smith at 9. Then we go Hampton at 6, South Carolina State at 7, Grambling State at 8, Morgan State and Alabama State both tied for 9, and that rounds out your poll. I will say,
and that's the national poll.
That's a national poll.
I think it's 21 national writers or 21 national ballots collectively turned out that ballot every week and week in and week out. So you're one of 21 voters nationally who put this thing together, and it's curated by Donald Ware, cousin of the show.
So I have... What are we doing here? How many is that? So there's 11 teams up here right now because of the tie at 9?
It's 10.
Is it still 10? All right, so it's 10 teams up here. And I have all but Alabama State in my top 10. and they're missing. Go back to mine, Kyra. I'm trying to figure out who they're missing from mine. Who do I have in that? Howard.
Yeah,
Howard.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's the difference betwixt the two. When you see the national ballot, Mike, anything stand out to you?
Did you just drop a Betwinks?
Mike,
did you just drop a Betwinks on top of a delve?
What can I say?
So we go delve and then Betwinks.
If we're delving, Mike, we Betwinks in. We Betwinks in, baby.
I'm just saying, Between was right there for the layup. Between was right there with the lob, right? I
But
mean,
all
Between had to do was just catch it and go off the rim and go off the backboard and lay it in.
Nah.
But you went Betwinks.
Love Betwinks. Love it.
You gotta love it, man. Hey, now, what were you saying?
I don't even remember. I don't remember.
But no, your ballot is right there in line. It's funny because Howard is up a top 5 in yours.
Yeah,
they're not even in the national one. When you get 21 guys, 21 voters, they can sometimes be all over the place. I saw somebody gave Alcorn State a number 1 first place vote.
Yeah,
and they're 3-3. So certain people have agendas out there, but it's all fun, man. We all have fun with these guys.
It will all sort itself out because these teams have got to play.
Yes.
They have to. Howard has to play North Carolina Central and South Carolina State, as well as everybody else on their schedule. Grambling State still has the rest of the SWAC schedule to play, and
including
that will
Alcorn State.
That'll have to sort itself out. Well, speaking of this week, when we look at game of the week, Mike, we do have Alcorn State versus Grambling State as the HBCU Huddle game of the week. When we look at all-time records, we'll start with Alcorn State, not because we think they're better, but because they start with an A and Grambling starts with a G, alphabetically speaking. All-time record of 497, 389, and 38. Currently, they are 3-3. Notable alum, Michael Clark Duncan. He's a former Hooper.
Late great Michael
He
Clark
played
Duncan.
basketball for a season at Alcorn State.
Okay.
Player to watch, Edwin Summerhour, one of the better defensive players in the nation. When we look at Grambling State, their all-time record, 534, 239, and 18. Current record, 3-2. Willis Reed Jr. is their notable alum. For those of you who don't know, he was number 19 for the New York Knicks in the 70s.
Yep.
Player to watch, Brendan Barley. Mike, when you see this matchup, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Historically, and then we'll get to the on-the-field stuff.
Well, historically, I still got a lot more work to do in this profession to get up there, so one day I could be in the notable alum.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Mike,
I mean,
you got a lot to do.
Willis Reed is way
You
up
was yelling at me about Gus. I couldn't pitch you in there for this one, Mike.
Willis Reed is way up there. He's our Hall of Famer, our resident legend. Definitely shout out to Willis Reed, the late great Willis Reed, and all he's done. They named one of the athletic facilities after him, and I know had a chance to speak with him before and interview him before. But historically, this matchup to me, I always go back to my years at Grambling, and it was Steve McNair at Alcorn State versus Grambling, and one of the best college games I've ever seen in person. And I've covered up all kind of sports throughout the years. With Steve McNair's run where 62-56. Grambling held on at the end, but Steve McNair, it was his Heisman Trophy run year. He finished 3rd in the Heisman Trophy. So that matchup is always one that's going to be special. I know a lot of people that go to Alcorn State and have gone there, and obviously Grambling is special to me too. But I think in this case, as much as Alcorn has done well to even their record out to get to 3-3, this is and I always talk about it, this is a put up or shut up week for Grambling. Like, are you really trying to contend in the West this year? And if you are, you bounce back from that Prairie View debacle and you go take this game against Alcorn State.
Over under, Mike, for the season, for the entire season for both of these teams, over under 25 combined turnovers, would you say, so far? I'm just asking you
committed.
To guess.
Turnovers committed or
turnovers forced?
Oh, turnovers forced.
Over under 25.
I would go over. Grambling probably got 17 of those by themselves.
Close. Grambling's got 16.
There we go.
Alcorn State's got 17. 32.
Oh, wow.
32 combined. They are 1-3 in the nation. 1-2, excuse me, in the nation in forced turnovers.
Okay,
this game is going to come down to which quarterback
ball protection
can take care of the football and which team skill position players do their best not to put the ball on the ground.
Yep.
It's one of those, Mike, where to me, if you can get a first down and punt, like if that's all you do, you're in a good spot because you're not putting your defense out there in a tough spot. One and two, you're not giving up a touchdown that your defense has no chance of stopping on like a pick six or a fumble recovery, a scoop and score type of thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this game because, like you, Mike, it's not just put up and shut up time from a Grambling State perspective, but also from Alcorn State perspective as well.
Yeah.
Like it's time. We're learning more. October, that August and September slate, that's games mixed with D2 teams. That's games mixed with FBS teams.
Yeah.
That's
money games in
money
there.
games and the FCS level as well. October come through, that is your conference mates. Those are people your size.
Yeah.
And we will begin to see the conference race. Who's good in the conference, who's good in the SWAC, and in the MEAC. But for right now, who's good in the SWAC, and the SWAC West in particular, and who's still got some work to do. And this game is going to be a data point, to quote Taylor Jenkins, in trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And, again, and you know what? I discounted Alcorn State because I was going to say, it's the first year coach. They just transitioned coaching staffs. But so did Grambling.
Yeah.
So did Grambling with Mickey Joseph. And, you're stepping into a situation where expectations are a little bit higher. I think they were higher on Grambling than they were on Alcorn State. But none of that stuff matters right now. Now it's the team in front of you. Can you do what you need to do? And you articulated it well. Both of these teams are great at forcing turnovers. So ball security is going to be a number one priority on both sides. And I'm looking forward to seeing a great matchup right there, man. Historically, traditionally, but also in contemporary times. Right now, this is a big-time matchup in the SWAC, and it's going to be one that, reverberates all throughout the both divisions when you talk about what's coming, what we just got to, and where we are right now.
Right now, Alcorn State undefeated in the SWAC right now, 2-0.
Yep.
Grambling State 0-1.
0-1. Okay.
Because the Jackson State game didn't count as a conference game.
It counted.
It counted, but it wasn't a conference game,
It wasn't a conference game. Yeah, because it counted. It counted. Kelvin, you hear me? It counted, Kelvin. Kelvin Gates. I'm looking right at you right now. Kelvin Gates, we love you, man. You're the number one fan of this show. You've supported us all the way through. Continue to keep doing the great things that you do. Also, shout out to Kelvin, too, man, because he was featured for his tailgating expertise down there in Jackson. Big-time Jackson State fan. But, yes, it might not have counted in the standings, but it counted, brother. It counted.
Kelvin, that is Mike Wallace saying that. I think we're planning on coming to that Jackson State FAMU. You can have my plate to the side. Don't feed Mike. You don't got to feed Mike. Listen, we got more stuff to get to right here on HBCU Huddle in the Built for Tough studio. We will take a look at the Grizzlies. They toured HBCU campus. You don't want to miss that video. We'll also be giving you our picks on this week's games. Don't go anywhere. You listen to HBCU Huddle right here on Grind City Media.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Maxwell in concert. The Serenade Tour. October 16th at FedEx Forum. Maxwell. With special guest Jasmine Sullivan. And October London. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Maxwell Live.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
make it come alive.
What y'all got?
Woo! This center is to empower underrepresented groups and getting involved and innovative with smart technology. Not only will they learn about artificial intelligence, they are going to be part of the artificial intelligence. They will immerse themselves in AR, VR. They will actually play smart technology MBA.
You are sitting beside some of our student players.
We need that awareness so that, again, our brown and black children can see how we are bringing education into sports and how technology and artificial intelligence can bring them into new pathways of careers. So we play to learn, we learn to play here.
It was crazy realizing people, you can get college credits playing video games, and the advanced technology they have. It's a testament to their work. You can tell they really do grind and put the work in, and it's fascinating to know what they have on this campus.
It's great when an NBA team can actually visit an HBCU. The NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies, we support HBCUs, and it allows them to have a first-hand opportunity to really see the greatness of HBCUs from the academic perspective to the technology, the things that they are looking at in the future, how they're educating young people, giving them opportunities through education, but also the fun and the flair of an HBCU, the music, the culture, the history, and it's great when you have players from the Memphis Grizzlies being able to experience that and learn.
Yo, what's up with y'all, man? This Marcus Smart, and on behalf of me and my teammates in the Memphis Grizzlies, we want to appreciate y'all for giving us the opportunity to come kick it with y'all and chill with y'all.
I say it's a great opportunity for kids on campus. Some of them watch NBA games all the time, and they get to see these players, and seeing them in person, it kind of inspires other people to just go be great, follow their dreams like how those guys did.
So we talk about HBCUs and the HBCU experience, but there's nothing like actually being on campus and to have the Grizzlies actually here in the land of golden sunshine, and to have the students to be able to see them, interact with them, and for them to even be able to experience some of what we do academically at our Smart Center, that was priceless. So we hope that now they will also be advocates and ambassadors of HBCUs, and in particular for Tennessee State University.
That was so much fun to see. I bet it was more fun to be at and witness live. Mike, what was it like, man?
Hey, it was wonderful, man. My thumb made a couple of cameo appearances because I was holding the mic. First of all, shout out to Courtney Williams, our
pivotal part of the show.
Videographer with our video team department, man. He does a tremendous job. You saw Abushiri Owafisa, our VP of community engagement, and just to connect Tennessee State with the Memphis Grizzlies. Hey, they're in our state, man. That's the biggest HBCU in our state. We're the only NBA franchise within our region. And, the awareness that happened there. The Grizzlies were there for training camp. But what they said was, hey, we're going to open our arms to the community that we're here and make some stops in. And for them to see that, to be a part of it, I was at all of the stops there. And, just to see the look on Gigi Jackson's face, Jalen Wales' face when they went into that artificial intelligence computer system technology department, and just see how much cutting edge technology that's going on in research at Tennessee State. Like that's the only HBCU that has that kind of level of equipment and programming. So to see that, and then to see Gigi and those guys who are still of college age, see the band and the Divine Nine and the Stroll Offs. Shout out to Marcus Smart too, man, for giving a heartfelt message to the students there. And my favorite moment, man, Jay Huff, the Grizzlies 7'1", University of Virginia product. I had to joke with him, man. I said, that look on your face when that stroll off was going by you, man, you'd have thought you went to Virginia State. You know what I'm saying? And he couldn't even speak after that. He was laughing so hard. But he knew the culture. The culture was there. And it was phenomenal to be a part of. And you just want to make sure that there's exposure on both sides. And man, that's my favorite video of the year so far that we've done as an organization. And I can't wait for our fans to be able to see that and share that on HBCU night coming up next month.
Absolutely, absolutely. The Grizzlies have done a good job of reaching out to HBCUs in the area.
Great job, yo.
Of course, Tennessee State, we just saw that. But Lane, Lemoyne, Arkansas Pine Bluff,
Jackson State,
routinely,
Valley,
routinely you'll see at a Grizzlies game the national anthem singer or a halftime performance by or something like that with somebody or bodies affiliated either in the past or presently with HBCUs. So, like, tip of the cap to the Grizzlies for all the work that they do by continuing to shine light onto the HBCU culture. And, like, they gave us a podcast, Mike.
Hey,
so
they did. Right.
That's
and
something they do once a week.
Yes, man. This is why we do it. You know, CJ, you and I are both HBCU products, but we've experienced the world. We've experienced a lot of things in our lives and a lot of opportunities, man. But we know that the values and some of the things that were instilled in us, both from an adversity standpoint and also as, you know, overcomers and achievers, we know that some of those values were built when we were at HBCU campuses and being around those campuses. And, man, it was just, I felt, I didn't go to Tennessee State. I went to Grambling State. But I felt proud of Tennessee State. Yeah. For opening the arms up and showing the Grizzlies that. Because both of these organizations mean so much to me. Tennessee State being an HBCU right here, and the Grizzlies and Grind City Media being right here too. I work for them. And seeing that, man, it was just phenomenal to experience.
Absolutely. You call me worldly, Mike. I'm on cloud 9 now. I never thought of myself as a worldly cat.
You're delving and you're also betwixt. So
here we go.
You're delving betwixt worldly things.
Let's take a look at the Big Six from last week, Mike. Overall record for you is 28-8 on the season. Last week's record.
There we go.
5-1. FAMU over Alabama State. Jackson State over Alabama A&M. Tuskegee over Morehouse. Virginia Union over Winston-Salem State. Morgan State over Lincoln. And Arkansas Pine Bluff. You only lost.
That's it. And I picked that one with my heart, man.
You picked Arkansas Pine Bluff over Alcorn State, and Alcorn State ended up winning that one. Anything for this, Mike?
I want Arkansas Pine Bluff to do it so well. You know how we feel about Coach down there, man. And
Coach Hampton.
Yeah, Coach Hampton, man. He's an affable guy. He's trying hard. He's always accessible and available. Affable, yes, man.
Affable. Let's get it.
There we go. And UAPB plays so hard. They have one of the most entertaining quarterbacks that I've seen in HBCU football this season. And I just need them to get over the hump. And maybe they do it this week. We have them on our pick six for this week. But yeah, that 5-1 looks good right there, man. That 5-1 looks great. 28-8. CJ, I don't even know if this is a competition this year.
It's not.
Are you still in the vicinity?
Nope. No, because I'm sitting there at 22-13 after another 3-3 week, Mike. I missed on Alabama State over FAMU. I thought that defense for Alabama State was going to travel and to not travel. They were at home. I thought they were going to show up and show out, and they played.
They did.
They played fine.
They just don't have a quarterback.
You can't have only 4 completions in a game.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have a passing game.
Mike, they rotated 2 quarterbacks
and got 4 completions.
3? They were 3 dudes caught passes. 1 dude caught 2. Like, what are we doing here, Alabama State? Let's get it together. Did hit JSU over Alabama A&M. One thing Tuskegee is going to do, no matter how bad the season is.
You called it. You said they were going to beat. They're going to beat Morehouse.
They're going to beat the hell out of Morehouse
in that classic down there.
In that classic back in Columbus, Georgia, which was a big boon for that economy. My mom was out there. That's where she stays. She loves it. The community loves it. They celebrate it. That's that city's classic, and so please don't take that away from them ever again. I thought Winston-Salem was about to turn the corner. I thought we were going to get a Johnson C. Smith, Winston-Salem State collision course type thing. And no, Virginia Union said, no. We're still here in the CIAA. Morgan State over Lincoln, I did get right. And I also missed on Pine Bluff over Alcorn State. I think that depending on how this week goes, I think it might be time. Maybe if Alcorn State beats Grambling, I'm a believer now.
Oh, okay.
They've got to go out there and beat Grambling. But if they do that, then they'll be firmly entrenched in the driver's seat in the SWAC West.
They will be. No
All
question.
right, this week's Pick 6, Mike. Let's start with you. What do you got?
Oh, man, we're going to start with me. And, of course, thank you, Kyra, putting it up there. Grambling State University. Next time, put university up there. We got to get our whole name.
Mike,
we got to get our government name up there.
We can't fit all of
just
that
put
up there.
Alcorn. You don't have to put all. Just put a state or something like that.
Come on, man.
Just come on. Grambling State University over Alcorn. Over ALST. Right? Nah, that's my number one pick right there. Kyra, bring me number 2 because my mind is all over the place. Texas Southern over Southern. I think Chris Dishman and Texas Southern, they've been up and down, herky-jerky all season long. Southern, I think they're just not there yet. I just can't trust them just yet. I think Texas Southern should be able to win that game. That'll be a big confidence boost for Texas Southern. Next after that, Tennessee State has to win this game against Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois, I think they're 1-4, 1-5, something like that overall. They've been playing some close football games. They hadn't been able to get over the hump. But Tennessee State, if this is their homecoming, they have to go out and show out and win this game to stay in contention, to fight for that Big South OVC championship run right there. They can do it. They got a big-time date looming with Southeast Missouri State coming up towards the end of the season, so they got to win this game to sort of stay in the race for that de facto championship there in the conference and maybe get to the playoffs after that. Coming up after that, UAPB. Come on, Coach Hampton. Come on, Coach Hampton. Do me a solid. We let y'all have the gold and black from Grambling. Now, Prairie View beat us. I need the gold and black from our little cousins in Arkansas Pine Bluff to knock out Prairie View to give us that payback that we desperately need. Hampton, is on you. It's a Friday night game, Friday night matchup on TV right there, national TV, and I'm looking forward to UAPB taking out Prairie View. They got to do it. It's time for Prairie View to turn a corner at this point. Next up, I got Winston-Salem State over Shaw. Winston-Salem State should bounce back from taking that tough loss last week against Virginia Union. Virginia just put the ball on the ground, and I say that meaning the running game, just ran straight through them. When you can have ball control and control the tempo like that, you can win a lot of football games, and we know that Derek Byers and Virginia Union has one of the best rushing attacks in Division II. So Winston-Salem State bounced back over Shaw this week, and last but not least, I'm going to go Miles over Fort Valley State. Miles beat up on Lane a couple of weeks ago. Miles is always one of those teams that are always just right there. We'll see what they can do. I think they'll take that victory over Fort Valley State, and we'll see if I can keep the ball rolling with this 28-8 record and improve on it next week.
All right. So my pick 6 is for why. Alcorn State. I got Alcorn State over Grambling State, Mike.
State University, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Gosh, they lost and you're still insufferable. I also got Southern over Texas Southern. This is, Mike, to your point, you hit the nail on the head. Who do you trust?
Yes.
That this is like it could go any way, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. One of these teams could beat the hell out of somebody. One of these teams could be leading the entire way and then falter late. One of these teams could lose on the last second, something or another. Yeah. It would not surprise me if who won or how they went about winning, because both of these teams are so very unpredictable.
Yeah.
I will take Tennessee State over Eastern Illinois. Homecoming is special, but Tennessee State, we talked about during the break, Mike, first take is going to be there on Friday. Mm-hmm. And so there'll be a different sort of energy around that building, around that program, with ESPN eyes on them. Stephen A. Smith, Molly, and Shannon Sharp all making the trip to Nashville for that. And it's homecoming. One of the best homecoming parades is Tennessee State's when they get to marching up and down Jefferson Street, excuse me. That's something that I enjoy very, very much. I got to get back to a Tennessee State homecoming. I will take Prairie View A&M over Arkansas Pine Bluff. I want Arkansas Pine Bluff to be good as well. I just don't think that they are yet. They play hard. You're right. They do play hard, but do they have the talent at all of the positions that you need? Can you close? And part of closing isn't just talent that's playing, but do you have the depth behind that talent? And I think that's the biggest difference that I can see between Pine Bluff and other SWAC teams is the depth isn't quite there yet for the Golden Lions. I will take Winston-Salem State over Shaw as well. This is a showdown in the CIAA. Winston-Salem State needs to win to keep up with Johnson C. Smith. And Shaw is right there with a chance as well to be near the top of that conference. And then last and certainly least I don't like either of these schools. But this is another one of those showdowns in conference where Fort Valley State and Miles are playing. I'm taking Fort Valley State over Miles, but they are playing with Clark Atlanta's loss.
Yeah.
Both of them now have a straight shot, it seems, to a SEAC title. And so I will take Fort Valley State over Miles in that one. We got a little bit of time before we get out of here. Let's talk some real quick, Mike, about the Adidas Crazy 8 lows. The HBCU Adidas Crazy 8 lows. They dropped October 1st, and Alabama State, Alcorn State, Grambling State, Prairie View A&M, and Arkansas Pine Bluff all have their own signature sneaker. We saw Nike do these with the Terminators. I got my pair of Tuskegees. Let's look at a couple of these, Mike, and you tell me what you think.
Man, okay. I'm feeling it. So these are basketball shoes?
These are Alabama State shoes, yeah. It looks like basketball shoes.
They got to be basketball shoes.
But
you can wear them universally. Yeah. It's just the color schemes and
the colors are so bright.
The robustness, I was about to say, of what you're seeing right there. That's got to be Alcorn, right?
That is Alcorn.
Yeah, those are nice,
Alcorn
man.
State. So for those of you who didn't see,
nice.
I'm going to do my best job to describe it. Hold right here for me, Kyra. Alcorn State. It looks to be 1, 2, 3 different shades of purple. And a really bright, vibrant yellow. It's like a deep purple, lavender, plum sort of situation.
There you go.
Thank you. I've learned a lot of different colors
plum
messing around with my wife.
Your culture.
Back in the day, that all used to just be purple, Mike.
Yeah.
But now she's like, no, there's a bunch of different colors there.
Within the purple.
The purple.
Yes.
On the purple spectrum. And then on the tongue, it's got the Alcorn State logo on the tongue.
I like those, man. Those are my favorite ones so far.
These, unlike the Nike ones, don't have as many like symbolic things. Those inside.
The Nike ones told a story.
Yes, these aren't. But these
are just fire shoes. Like they're just
Yes, fire shoes, bright, really make a statement when you wear these. The Nike shoes, you have to kind of explain. Like if I'm wearing the Tennessee States, like, oh, this is what get geeked means, and this is what this part here means.
Right.
These are the Arkansas Pine Bluffs, Mike. These are a really, really bright, vibrant yellow. These are Grambling.
Yeah,
Take these back. That's Grambling State. There's the G up there on the tongue.
Right there.
Yellow laces, really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges.
I gotta get 'em.
And you've got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy. That G is moving strong right there too, man.
Mike, what size is it? What size are you?
What size am I? Yep. I'm a 12 or 13, depending on how I want to rock it. Yeah.
Somebody need to get out there and get them.
Hey, where can we get these, man?
I do believe online. I do believe
you
can get them
anything online. Yeah, that's true. I need to go ahead and slap.
You know what's crazy? I almost at the Nike store, and you cannot get Adidas at the Nike store.
No, you can't get them at the Nike store.
These are the Prairie View A&Ms.
Yeah,
another deep, bright, vibrant purple. This one is purple and black, and then the shoelaces are really bright yellow. That's really, really cool right there. And then do we have the Pine Bluffs?
Ooh,
these are the ones that I like. These are black and yellow.
They go to reverse of the Gremlins.
Reverse of the Gremlins with red laces. Like those are the ones that I particularly like
nice.
Right there.
That's nice.
Yeah, absolutely,
that's nice.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to give me a pair of those G's though, man.
Throw them G's back up, Kyle.
And those are work. Those are gonna be work related shoes. There's gonna be HBCU Huddle work related shoes. I need to get them. And
Look at those, Mike.
And then you know what, man? We gotta have the designer. Whoever we gotta do some research and get behind who
designed them,
who designed them, and who came up with this concept, man. And maybe we'll get our Sneak Fest guys. Sherm was on here last week to figure this one out right here, man. Because those G's are gonna be those are some statement shoes right there for sure.
Absolutely. That'll do it for this week's episode. Enjoy the sneakers and the football this weekend.
Yes.
We'll catch up with you guys next week right here on HBCU Huddle in the Built Ford Tough studio on Grind City Media. For Mike, I'm CJ. Everybody take care.